Howdy, everyone. Welcome to Tilson Live. It is Tuesday. We are your host. I'm Eric Allerid, part of the fourth generation of the Tilson family, joined by Dawn Dantzler, our Vice President of Marketing and Customer Experience. Good afternoon, Dawn.
Hey, Eric. How's it going?
It's going great. Going awesome. We are getting quite a bit of rain this week, so much needed in many parts of the state. So we're excited about that. Puts a little bit of a damper on construction during the week, but we know that it is well needed and people are pretty happy to have it in all areas. It's been a long, hot summer.
Yes. I know some areas are definitely wishing they weren't getting quite as much all at once. It'd be nice to get it in doses, but we will take it any way we can get it right now.
Exactly right. So we are here. It is Tuesday. It is Tilson Live. It's 2:00. Everybody's jumping in and joining us. Tell us where you're watching from. Tell us where you're building, what part of the process you're in. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. We want to hear from you. We want to know what questions you have, anything about building a home on your land, anything about the design process, site preparation, pricing, customization, utilities, all of the financing, maybe financing questions.
All the things.
So anything you guys want to know, we are here for you to answer all of your questions. And specifically, I think that is the theme of today, Dawn. What are we doing today?
That is, we are doing Ask Us Anything about building on your land. One time we were not specific enough and we got some rowdy questions. So about building on your land, we'll take a couple of rowdy questions just for fun.
Yes.
That's what we know about. So I guess you could ask us the other questions, your answer's not going to be as reliable.
You can truly ask us anything, whether or not we have a good answer for you or not. You know, the more it's about building a custom home on your land in Texas, probably the more accurate that answer is going to be. You get outside of that, and we're going to take a swing at it, but we make no promises about the outcome.
I'm pretty good at trivia. I can do it.
So tell us where you're watching from. Tell us where you're building, what part of the process that you're in. We love hearing from you guys. We love hearing your stories, seeing your pictures. Like I said, we're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. I know we got some Facebook folks on here. If we got some YouTube folks, y'all holler at us. Tell us that you're watching us, seeing us, and hearing us. But Dawn, who do we got so far talking to us?
So we have Stacy coming in from Liberty, Texas, hoping to build in Dayton. And Stacy sent some questions ahead of time, so we will grab those after we say hello to everybody else. We've got Julie. Good afternoon from wet and North Texas. The clouds have been beautiful.
Very nice. It's been nice.
And we've got Janet. Howdy. The framing on our live oak in Grayson County is almost done. It's exciting to see it taking shape. Yeah, that's when it really starts to become even more real, like when you can see that frame end going up. So,
it's very cool.
Awesome.
Very cool. So yeah, folks, jump in. Tell us where you're watching from. Tell us where you're building. We are going to answer all of your questions. That's what we're here for today. We know that a lot of folks have questions right now about financing, a lot of questions about utilities, a lot of questions about time frames, supply chain, labor availability or lack of labor availability. All that's still happening. You're seeing a lot of things shifting in the market. You're probably hearing lots of information. The interesting thing about that is some of it is going to be related to resale homes, to used homes, and some of it will be related to new home construction. Almost none of it will be related to building a home on your land. So you need to know that when you're seeing these articles and reading these things of what's happening in the home building industry, the recession that's happening, understand that news is driven by what's happening predominantly on the coasts, East Coast and West Coast. They drive the bus, so to speak, as far as what makes the news in the United States, because that's where the news agencies are headquartered and that's where the biggest cities are, except for the top two of the top five in the country, which are Chicago and Houston. But never mind that. But I say that to say that what you're hearing is what's happening in pockets of real estate markets in the United States. It is not necessarily what's happening broadly, and it's almost certainly not what's happening in Texas, Florida, North Carolina, a couple of other places that are still just red hot. So,
and it's also the news that drives viewers and gets the most clicks on the internet is also what they keep repeating to you. So that's sensational stories are much more interesting.
That these news outlets are selling ads?
Yeah. Yeah.
They need clicks.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
that's disappointing. Because to
Yeah,
get clicks,
there's no neutral news, and then also there's a whole other narrative where most important election of our lives until the next
oh,
one
that's
is
right, I
coming up,
forgot.
so we gotta spin that story too. But
Shame on me for forgetting that this is the most important election coming up, just like the last one was, and just like the next one will be. So
yes,
I know we're talking a little bit tongue in cheek, guys, but the reality is we're trying to. We need to have a little bit of fun with this because this is a place that we want you guys to be able to come and not be bombarded with just fear. Okay, because
right.
the reality is it a different market? Yep, it's a little bit different
Mhm.
market. Is it a market that, compared to other real estate markets in the history of the United States and of Texas, that Tilson has sold and built homes in? This is a pretty good one still.
Yeah,
Pretty good one. No real estate and
yeah.
oil crash of the 1980s. No oil embargoes of the 1970s. We're not at war with. Well, we're not at war with Vietnam. We're not at World War I or II. We're not in the Great Depression. So we're pretty okay right now.
Hmm.
We're not really worried about anybody invading our country, and our rates where they were a year ago. No, they're not. Probably won't ever be there again. Um, but interest rates are still really, really good in the view of what rates have ever been for a 30-year
Right.
mortgage, and that's what we're here to talk about, that kind of stuff. So I know we got some more folks that have
Absolutely.
joined us.
We do. We have Thomas, who is watching from College Station, building a curtain, just waiting for foundation in January to get everything rolling. Awesome.
Awesome, Thomas. Thanks for joining us.
And then we have Diana with a question. When you're contracting for the water connection from the meter to the house, what size pipe do you use?
That is a great question, Diana. And a lot of it will depend on the distance. So, first of all, your water meter is going to be a certain size, usually 5/8 of an inch or 3/4 inch is the actual water tap. That's where I see most of them. So, I've seen some as big as an inch, although that's pretty rare. Usually it's 5/8 inch or 3/4 inch tap. Um, I like to just run 1 inch line for anything less than probably 150 or 200 feet. Once you start to get over that distance, I like to go with a 2 inch line, and just to make sure that you've got water pressure. So inch and a quarter line is plenty big. Going from the meter to the house for a reasonable distance, and anything over that, I start to go up to 2 inch line. So, and again, that's for pressure. And actually, what ends up happening is that kind of becomes a reservoir. So there, you can actually calculate how much water is in a 1 inch diameter pipe that's 150 feet long, like it's a cylinder, right?
Mhm.
And that in essence becomes a pressurized portion or pressurized tank, if you will, miniature one, to make sure that you got pressure on the house. So
Oh,
great
okay.
question.
Interesting. And then we have Rhonda, who is watching from Teague in Central Texas, looking to build soon.
Very nice.
And I want to
Great area.
circle back. Stacy had some questions that she sent us ahead of time, and they are good questions that we get a lot. So I want to make sure that we answer them.
Lay it on us, Stacy. Let's hear it.
All right. So she has a lot in Dayton, Texas. It's paid for and in the city limits. And she was wondering if we could talk a little bit about the Easy Buy program. How is a potential home buyer approved for that? And what is necessary for the review and approval process to get started?
Okay, well, the easiest thing to start out with would be go to one of our design centers, and we actually can help you walk you through a pre-approval process. So
Mhm.
we can do just kind of a financial overview if you want to do that, or we can actually go on and with one of our preferred lenders, do a pre-qualification on you, and if there's a co-buyer, the both of you, and that'll kind of tell you where you sit from a debt to income ratio perspective. Really, for the easy buy, what we're going to want to sit down and talk about is your equity position. So we'll want to know kind of what the land, that lot in Dayton, what the appraised value of it is, what you think the value of it might be, and that's pretty easy to come by. And then kind of what size home that you're looking for, and we'll add those two numbers together. So let's say the lot's worth, I don't know, $50,000, and the home you're looking at is worth $400,000. So you got a total value of like 450,000, home plus land. We would require, for Tilson's Easy Buy program, we would require 10% of that number to be paid into the land. So if your land is paid for and it is in fact worth 50,000, in that situation, you would not need a down payment of any kind, just the $3,000 deposit, and then you would qualify for our Easy Buy program so long as you could qualify for the permanent mortgage, which is what that
Mhm.
pre-qualification process would be for. So that's really kind of how that works. Dawn,
Yeah.
anything to add to that?
Related to that, we have a question from Debbie asking if you can build on land that is still being paid for. And yes, you absolutely can, as long as you've met that 10% equity requirement. What would happen, Debbie, is you would just continue to make payments on that land note throughout construction, and then whatever balance is remaining at the end, they will roll into your final mortgage.
That's right.
So that's absolutely possible. And let's see. So her next question was looking at the plans on the website and see that many of them feature price ranging from a lower to a higher amount, along with smaller to larger square footage. Is the difference in prices reflective of that square footage difference? What's changing there, and how are we changing sizes? So I thought
we had an expert in the
easiest,
website on here. Do we know
yes.
anyone? Oh, Dawn.
Anybody, yeah. Let me go ahead. I thought it might be easy just to like pull up the website. So I know you mentioned that you had your land in Dayton, so I've gone ahead and loaded up Liberty County so we can see what's going on. So what you're seeing here in this price range, this is the base floor plan. So that is the differences between the different exterior designs. So if like I click in on the Abilene, that 361,000, this price range here, that is the difference between the different exterior designs that you can see. If you come down here to my interactive floor plans, you can see that we have the different ones. So you've got this A elevation, which for some reason that's acting up. So let me go at it the other way. You can see them here. All right. So we've got the A elevation, which is a standard, brick elevation. You've got this more craftsman style look. You've got a farmhouse look on that home. And then you also have this more kind of modern farmhousey ranch style house there. So that difference in price ranges, if you built the Abilene as it comes, which is this general floor plan here that you'll see in our static pictures, that is what that price range is. So it's the different cost for the different exterior elevations, because there's a little bit difference in price there just for the materials that are being used, as well as the you'll see different porch sizes on the different homes. So that's encountering some of those differences. For the differences that you're seeing in the number of bedrooms and bathrooms and the number of square footage that's listed, that is if you scroll down into the custom options, you can actually start playing with these floor plans. So that's all the differences in the actual layout of the home. So with the Abilene, I can add that fourth bedroom, and that's going to add square footage to the home itself. That when you go through this and you do all this, you can see actually as you're changing it, it's changing the square footage up here in the interface itself. So you can see, and each one of these options is also telling you how much square footage it's going to either add or subtract from the home. As well as when you go ahead, like when I take that fourth bedroom off, you'll see it went back to the original square footage and the original bedroom and bathroom count. So hopefully that kind of helps answer that. All right. And then, yeah, that got the, she also had a question about the base prices and what it includes for the counties. So since it's county specific, is that including any of the permits or site prep costs?
Okay, so it would include a county building permit. That would be included in that price that you're seeing. Now, if you said you were in the city of Dayton, that's I'm glad you asked the question, because that base price you're going to see on the website is for the county only, outside of any incorporated city. So it would not include like the city of Dayton building permit. It wouldn't include any kind of tap fees or impact fees that they have. Now, the good news is if you contact one of our design centers, we do have all that pricing.
Right.
And we have different allowances for different levels of cities as well. So we would have, and we're pretty familiar with the city of Dayton, Liberty, that whole area over there. We've been building there for years. Our Spring Design Center can easily help you walk through what all is involved in that. And then we could also contact the city on your behalf, give them the address or the lot and block number, and they can give us a much better idea of any kind of unexpected fees that we may encounter, which is probably not a whole lot with Dayton, but. So, okay. And it includes site prep. It doesn't include clearing the lot, those prices on there, but it does include site prep up to a certain amount of out of level of drop. I think in Liberty County, it's 12 inch or 18 inch. I think 12 inch drop and is included. So that much leveling of the land, or basically we build it to the out of level, and then bringing in some soil, some select fill after that to do the grading around it. Mm-hmm. One area. One challenge in Liberty County in those areas, as you probably know, it's pretty flat. So establishing positive drainage away from the foundation and then maintaining that positive drainage is really, really important in Liberty, Dayton, Hull, Dizetta, those areas over there.
Okay, perfect. And we have Kristen checking in. Hey guys, we're in Cibolo, slotted to start our canyon in Garden Ridge in November. Awesome.
Very cool. Congratulations.
And then Julie has a question. Would it be considered rowdy if I wanted to paint a wall or door a different color myself before closing? It's not like we're close to closing, but I'm curious. You're framing. You're way closer than you were. So.
Yeah, I would not consider that rowdy, Julie. I definitely would want to touch base with the building superintendent just to have that high level communication, get the timing right. We don't want to do damage to it. If we end up, confess, if we put an outlet in the wrong spot, we have to go back and cut the sheetrock out and patch the sheetrock. Is the paint going to touch up and match that kind of stuff? So I would typically advise waiting till much, much later in the process, probably before the floors go in, but sometimes even not, sometimes even just after that, just so you don't damage them in some way. But I wouldn't go in anytime, soon. But touch base with your building superintendent. I don't think they're going to have a problem with you doing something like that.
If you're going to paint any trim, I would wait until after your flooring goes in, simply because a lot of times their tools will scuff it up. And we typically have another round of retouches after they do all of that. So if you are changing that color, you may want to hold off.
And also know it may take more than one coat, depending on the kind of paint that you're using.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes that first coat, if you don't put a primer on it, it gets sucked up into the texture. That texture is basically just sheetrock mud, and it can be pretty porous, and it'll suck up that first coat. So if you're using like a really nice or expensive kind of paint, you may need more than they tell you at the little help desk.
Yeah.
Plus, it's always good to have a little extra in case the kids mess something up. It's never the adults that do it.
Jet doesn't look to me like a kid that would do that. I think I think he wasn't like running Matchbox cars over the framing or anything. He's good. He's good. Except he was.
And he has a hard hat. So
he does have a hard hat now. So you can make Jet do it. There you go. We've got Glenn. At what point is the final outside inspection performed?
Glenn, is really when outside of the house, all the pertinent items outside are done and functioning. So first of all, for sure, anything that's going to be included in the loan, but the outside inspection would also require like any kind of final grading to be completed. So if there's any kind of steps that need to go up to the house, that would need to be done. Otherwise, the final grading to make sure that, again, that positive drainage is established, they're going to inspect that. The septic, water well, all those things would need to be completed, hooked up. The permanent power would need to be hooked up. So all the outside things, obviously any kind of brick, stone, hardy, that would need to be completed. Roof, of course, but mainly all the other ancillary things that make the house truly function: septic, water, power, gas, if that's applicable. After all those things are done, then depending, I don't know if you're financing or paying cash, whatever. If you're financing, depending on the type of loan, it might even actually have to be after some type of final drive is installed, either by you or by us, whoever's doing it, because some lenders require a different type of final driveway depending on the type of loan. With conventional FHA, VA, Tex Vet, the type of conventional loan, they all have a little bit different requirements on driveway. So something to consider.
They all have opinions.
Yes.
Okay. Miranda is asking, where's the closest design center in Central Texas, and what is the current build out time for 2,000 square feet, land paid for, cash purchase?
So I know she mentioned she was in Teague, which is like Freestone County, Limestone County, that area over there. So your closest one's going to be Waco. I know Kelsey answered or gave her all the locations over there, and certainly you're welcome to any of them, but Waco is certainly going to be your closest. Waxahachie might be a close second, and then Bryan actually would be probably your third closest. So depending on where you are now in that area, either your Waco, Waxahachie, or Bryan location, probably best for you. And then, so build out time. Dawn, break out for us the different time frames, because you do such a great job of doing that.
So we are going to have the time, so pre-construction. So the time from when you sign an agreement to when you're going to get everything kind of lined up and prepared to build. So during that time, we're focused on getting the land prepped, getting your temporary power in. We're going to be working on your plans. You're going to be picking your colors. We're going to do all the exciting stuff and all the stuff that I find less exciting, like clearing your land and putting in your construction drive and doing all of that and getting, and yeah, they make Eric happy. That's why we're such a great team. So you're going to do all of that. That is typically about a 4 to 5 month time frame for you. That you're going to go and do all of that. And then once everything is ready, we're going to go ahead and slot you for a time to begin construction. And that period of time is going to vary throughout the state. I think Limestone, it's a little shorter than some of the other areas. But then we'll actually enter into construction. And that is when we, go ahead and put down the form boards and we go ahead and, do your foundation and start building you a home. So the actual construction time, you're looking 12 to 14 months, just depending, and that's just allowing for any kind of supply chain issues, some of the labor issues that we're having. We just want everybody prepared for things that they're still taking a little bit longer than they have in the past. And that way, the Waco location would be able to kind of tell you exactly what we're looking at in the slot delay. So right now, overall, we're telling everybody to expect 18 to 24 months from signing their contract to moving in to their home. Did I get everything, Eric?
Nailed it. I think you nailed it.
All right. Okay. So we have Will. He is checking in from Klondike, but he's a little busy, so he's going to check back in later. I'm sure he's
must not be raining where he is. That's nice.
Either that or it is, and he's trying to wrangle everybody. Let's see. We've got J-Bo checking in from Medina County. Our Preston is coming along, and the brick has arrived. That's awesome.
Welcome back, J-Bo.
Welcome back. We have a question from YouTube. I have blown-in insulation in my attic at the eaves of the house. Will there be baffles installed to allow for airflow?
Yes, there will. Yeah. So anywhere we have the pre-drill ventilated soffits and the ridge venting, where we have that, they will put baffles of some sort in. Typically, it's every other rafter spacing. I've seen some do every rafter spacing. That's overkill. It would not hurt anything if it is, but every other rafter is pretty. Every other rafter space is more than enough to apply, because all you're looking for is adequate passive ventilation. So.
All right. Glenn is asking, is there a warranty associated with the termite treatment performed at framing?
So I know there is a warranty associated with it. I don't have the exact data on it. I have texted both Christy and Justin to ask them to see. I phoned a friend. To see if they could give us an answer. So if we get an answer before the end of it, I'll tell you what specifically the warranty is. But I do know that there is a warranty that comes with it. And I also know that ABC, which is who does it for ABC Pest Pool and Lawn, they offer other programs in addition to that are outside of what we already do, but that they'll offer much longer warranties and even service programs, obviously, for you if you want them to keep coming out, on a quarterly basis. And I'll be honest with you, that's if termites are something you're genuinely worried about. Couple of things you can do. You can just not clear your entire lot. That's the best thing you can possibly do for it, is give them another easy place to go, which is really anywhere but your house. Your house is kind of a hard target. They have to crawl up, through compacted fill of some sort, up a little space where the polyethylene, maybe it didn't get quite all the way to the concrete, and then find a pipe that's actually penetrating up through that slab, and then eat through poisonous pressure treated toe plate, that's why it's treated, it's termite treated. So some are going to have to die. There's going to be some sacrificial termites to get up there, and then we spray that first 2 feet. So they can do that, or they can go over here to like acres of woods. And nature kind of takes the path of least resistance typically. So that's the first and foremost thing you can do. The other thing would be get on a regularly scheduled termite treatment program with a qualified pest control company, because otherwise everything that's legal now, for good reason, has a shelf life on it, a time life, right? What do they call that? Half-life. They have a half-life.
Yeah.
My chemistry and biology days coming back. I have to blow the dust off of that for sure. They have a half-life, and it doesn't last forever, right? So there used to be stuff that did. It's been outlawed for good reason. But so everything wears off over time, Glenn. So if it's something that you're really worried about for your own peace of mind, the best thing to do is get on a regular maintenance schedule with somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. We have Martina. We have spray foam painted, brick delivered, drywall expected soon. Cabinet measurements taken. Labs are getting put on this past Sunday. Things are moving, and I'm loving it. That's awesome. Glad to hear that.
Wonderful.
We have another question. Between the window jamb and framing, do you use backer rod or expansion foam? If it's expansion foam, will that apply pressure on the jamb, causing it to bow?
Yeah, it's not going to cause it to bow. So, but suffice it to say, we do have to seal it up. Expanding foam works better than backer. You could use either one. And again, we're going to know when we do the blower door test if it's leaking in that area. We can only have so many air changes per hour. And if that's where it's failing, that's where it'll need to be resealed up. But it's done with expanding foam, and it is not going to bow. Even a single 2x4, it won't do
that. And then Mike is asking, what is the average cost to add a garage?
Yeah, you're about somewhere between 50 and 70,000 is going to get you pretty close for a 2-car attached garage, and that's going to be going to match the house, sheetrocked inside, tape floated, textured, painted, trimmed, all that. So
okay. And then Jessica is asking, is it possible for electric and or well to be rolled into the loan? What is the process for that?
It is possible, yes. So long as it will fit in the appraisal, it is absolutely possible. So in other words, as long as you have enough room in your loan from a qualification standpoint and from so that would be on like debt to income, and the other standpoint would be your equity. So as long as it'll fit in that, you're good. The process is we would literally do that. We would, if it's going to be us doing it, we would need to get accurate bids. Well's a little bit tougher, but electric, we can get a pretty good beat on that and get exactly what it's going to be from getting bids from our electrician and even from the power company for that matter. And then we put those in as allowances up front to be paid for when it's time to have those things put in.
Okay. All right. We have Kenneth asking, howdy, Ken and Linda here in Arlington, building a Whitney D in Maypearl, drywall just installed. Okay. Every room has an AC register except for the small closet in the master bath. Should there be one in there?
So it depends on the size of the closet. Like they're laid out pretty good with the HVAC company. So it's probably, if it's only a couple of feet deep, it doesn't need to have one. If it's like a big walk-in closet, kind of like your LaSalle, or even it just depends on the depth of the closet, really. I was going to try and real quickly pull up the plan and see if I could see it, but if there needs to be one in there, it'll get one in there. And if it's just a couple feet deep, it really doesn't need to have one in there. Those doors to that closet are not airtight, so it can still get airflow in there, and the cool air can still get to that. So you're probably going to be okay.
Okay. Let's see. We've got S. Hill watching from the Mojave Desert in California. We're building a Travis A in Fort Bend County, and construction date is February. Awesome.
Nice.
That's going to be awesome.
That's cool.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
We got Denise asking, if we put in our construction drive in the month of September, but start is slated February, will the drive still be usable? Is it too early to put in the construction drive?
I would say no, it's not. It's really never too early to put, because it'll actually, this weather kind of helps pack it if it's done properly. So if you put a good clay base down first, and then some type of crushed rock, crushed limestone, concrete washout on top of that, and it's rolled in real good, this weather helps pack it down. And the more use it can get in the interim between now and then, the more compaction that it gets, and so the better that it is. Plus, you'll also be able to see if there's any spots that hold water between now and then, because that's where the damage gets done. Just like a pothole on the road, but if you have like a little low spot in that road that holds water, every time a truck goes through it, it sloshes out. Well, part of what it's sloshing out is material, sediment, rock. So with every little bit that gets sloshed out, the hole gets deeper and deeper, and then eventually the road is compromised. Water will cut across it. So it's not at all too early to put it in. Okay,
perfect. Jabo is asking if you can explain any pest or termite protection included in the build process.
So included is we call it a boracare treatment. So boric acid is really what it is. It's one of the ingredients that goes into pressure treated lumber, but we spray well, first of all, every board that touches the slab, so every toe plate, is pressure treated. And then every plumbing penetration, so everywhere plumbing comes out of the slab, we spray the lumber 2 feet up where that is with this boracare treatment. ABC does it. We don't do it. Dawn goes
Okay.
into it. And then,
No.
and then around the inside of the entire exterior perimeter. So we put that OSB up all around the outside of the house. So all of that lumber and the OSB itself is sprayed 2 feet high all the way around the exterior perimeter. That's what's included in the build process. It's actually required by code.
Okay. Perfect. Donna is asking, would you need to sign a contract for the home before getting any bids for well septic if rolling it into the cost? Hopefully it's not a dumb question. No, definitely not a dumb question.
No, that's a great question. And so, no, you don't have to sign a contract to get bids for that. We can help you out with the septic, especially. We probably have that, depending on where you are in the state. We may have that pricing already done. And then for the well, what's going to happen is you're going to have to meet a well contractor to get a really accurate price. You're going to have to meet a well contractor out at your site. And even then, Donna, it's not, water wells are a sneaky little animal, because even a seasoned water well installer can be like, okay, yep, I did one, 6 months ago, a mile away from here, and we went 318 feet, had great water, had great pressure. Everything was wonderful. I also did one half a mile over here 3 months ago, and we went 500 feet and got horrible pressure and bad water, and we ended up having to go 600 feet. So it's a finicky little thing, and you can't know for sure truly until the day you do it. Yeah. So they can tell us based on what they've done in the area, what they think the depth might be, and it typically goes like this. Okay, to drill a water well, and I don't know where you are, forgive me. So let's use our Liberty County example we were talking about earlier. Let's say they're going to have to go down 250 feet, they think. And so they'll give you, hey, for $9,000, that includes, a 1.5 horse stainless steel submersible pump. That includes up to 250 feet of depth. It includes the 4-inch concrete encasement and blah, 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 blah. Pressure tank, all that's included. And then anything beyond that, we have to go, it's X amount of dollars per lineal foot, maybe $20, maybe $25, maybe $30 per foot of depth they have to go additional. But they're testing pressure all the way down. They're testing the water and testing the pressure as they're drilling to kind of know if they have enough. But really you need quite a bit of pressure. And so it's hard to get the water well price pinned down really until you drill.
Okay. All right. Makes sense. Linda is asking, she says, when she met in the Melissa location in July for the design meeting, we were told there were only one knob selection available and 3 different finishes, and there were no pulls for cabinets available. So she was being told basically there's everything has to have a knob on it, and she's asking if that supply chain issue has been eased.
That sounds like either we're misunderstanding what you're asking for, or there's a misunderstanding of some sort, because I don't know if we're talking about knob.
I hadn't heard this. I didn't know if I'd missed something. So what she's saying, it's kind of it's a long comment, so I'm trying to read through it. She was told that there was only one knob available, and it was available in 3 different finishes. There were no pulls for drawers or cabinets available at all. So we had to put knobs on drawers and cabinets, and something about it being.
So that is as far as what's included in the base price. That's correct. Mm-hmm. There is only one knob that's included in the base, but you can upgrade and get all kinds of different pulls and different knobs and all kinds of stuff for your doors and drawers. So maybe reach back out to them and make sure that we're understanding of what's base and included and versus what's actually available, because there's other things that are available.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was a little confused because I hadn't heard anything on the knobs and pulls being unavailable. So well, Linda, if you could send us a private message, we can look into this some more for you and have your sales consultant reach out to kind of straighten that out. Joss is saying, hey there, almost a year in my Cypress in Montgomery County and still loving it. Still enjoy watching Tilson Tuesday.
Awesome. We're glad to hear.
Good seeing you. We haven't heard from you in a long time. All right. We've got Donna. Thank you. Also, is there anywhere to find a list of the standard features per model? We are looking at the rock wall at the moment. We do not have a per model list. That is something they can kind of help you with in the design center, but there are our overall included features are on our website. So you can find those there. But yeah, there is going to be some differences in what's included in the kitchen, whether it comes with the pull-out trays or not, those types of things. But the design center can help you out with all of that on the different plans. All right. And then we have a two-part question.
Nope, three-part. You're behind.
Three-part. Okay, I'm behind. All right. Our financing was approved today. We were wondering if you could give us guidance on electrical to the home. We've received a quote from our electric company. Is this something you could do as an allowance and roll into our loan? Prior to today, we were thinking of doing a small loan to pay it and pay it off as soon as possible. And part three, we knew not make any decisions without consulting you, Tilson, as well as the lender prior. We were just trying to figure our options out and would continue our process in forward motion.
Okay, so you're doing everything right. So kudos to you. Well done. And I'm guessing it's a large quote for electrical. I'm guessing you're somewhere in the hill country, probably. I don't know for sure, but it makes me lean that way. I feel like Carnac the Magnificent here, old Johnny Carson days. So a couple of things. I would advise, and your lender probably would too, advise against going and taking out a small loan to do it. I don't think that I would do that. I wouldn't go and incur debt unless you reach out to your lender and they're like, yeah, no problem. Don't worry about it. Maybe it'll even help you out. I don't know, but that would be Atascosa County. It's over 20 grand. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Gee, how'd I know? So,
experience.
So that's a lot, like a car. So, and so that's a lot of work. So by the way, all you Liberty, Dayton, Gulf Coast fighters out there, count your blessings, because they're out there paying $20,000 for the pleasure of getting to pay the power company X amount of dollars per month for the rest of their lives. We have it pretty easy in the greater Gulf Coast area. So the answer is yes. We can include allowance to do that. And again, it's going to go back to making sure that it fits in both the loan from a debt to income standpoint. And so for that question, you go direct to your lender and say, hey, could we add another $20,000 in here for site improvement allowance of some sort? In this case, it's for the electrical, and make sure that we would still qualify, that you would still qualify from a debt to income standpoint. And then the only other thing, which you're not going to have an issue, I don't think, in Atascosa County, would be from an appraisal standpoint. Will it fit in the appraised value? And here lately, that has not been an issue anywhere in the greater San Antonio area, which is kind of where you are. You're west or southwest of San Antonio. So it can be done. And then we'd want to meet you when we do our agreement and do the site evaluation. If it's possible, we'd like to have an electric representative out there, give us the information of who you've been working with, have them meet us out there with you so that we're all singing from the same hymnal as far as where power is going to be coming from, what needs to be done, what kind of rack that they're expecting. Is it a member-owned pole that they're talking about, or are we building a rack system? So is
it going to support permanent power? Because I feel like for that price, it should. Yeah,
that's all we're going to do. Yeah, we're only going to deal with permanent power from that standpoint. I wouldn't even get into temporary power in that case. Let's just build the what is it that buy once, cry once. Let's go ahead and bite the bullet and do it right the first time. Spend the money, and we're done. So yes, in short, it can be added in. We'd want to check from a debt standpoint and from a appraisal standpoint. But other than that, you can do it. I would advise against taking out a small loan ahead of time.
Yeah. All right. Jabo was asking, are there any suggestions for good water management around a home built on sand? What should we focus on? There are no rocks, doesn't puddle, and there is no runoff.
So sand is good, Jabo. I mean, sand percolates just like coffee, just like water percolates through a coffee filter. Sand is very good for for water to percolate through. So clay holds water. So we have bowls and cups and things out of clay, and we don't make them out of sand because sand doesn't hold water very well. So you're starting out pretty good already. All you want to do is make sure that what you've already done, it doesn't puddle anywhere and it's not cutting the sand. So, I mean, if it has a spot where it's able to just washing out and it's washing out right beside the slab, we wouldn't want something like that. You may want to bring a little bit of select fill in to maybe, because the one of the cons of sand is it doesn't pack, right? You go to the beach and try and pack sand, it just falls right apart. Whereas select fill, it will hold a form that you can actually form it into something so you can compact it and it'll get harder. But that's mainly just make sure that it goes away from the house. Dawn always has a great example of making sure that if you're using the gutters with the downspouts, make sure that you've got the little accordion shaped things that take the water further away. Don't rely on just water running on top of the ground and take it away because it's going to erode.
We know they're ugly. Bury them if you can.
Yeah, bury them.
You can't just take them off and call it a day. You got to make sure you're still.
You can bury them like I did mine. I put the little green pop-ups at the end, and then I get to go find the green pop-ups when we have a really hard rain, and because they travel somewhere else in the yard. It's really fun. It's like a book. Great hide and go seek game that I play. And I don't do anything different. I go stick it back on, like as if it's not going to happen again next time it doesn't.
It's fine.
It's twisted, really.
Look, we all entertain ourselves in different ways. It's fine. Diana's asking, when you contract for the electrical connection, do you plan for aluminum wiring or copper wiring in Coryell County?
This is a great question because aluminum wiring gets a bad rap, and I will agree with that to a degree on interior wiring, like smaller fixtures and outlets. And the reason for that is that aluminum has the potential to shrink and swell more so than copper. It's a softer metal. And so a smaller gauge wire, may have it could eventually work its way loose from the connection and could potentially arc. Okay. That's the horrible thing that could happen with aluminum people worry about. When you're talking about electrical connection to a home, you're talking about wire the size of my index finger, number 1 or number 2, even number 4 wire about the size of my pinky finger. So they tighten it with like a ratchet. Okay. So you've got a large nut going into a large piece of wire using leverage from a ratchet. So you do not have to worry about not being able to get that nut tight enough where the aluminum is going to shrink as well. I hope that makes sense, but you're talking about a massive piece of cable. When you're talking about the actual connection. So like personally, I've always used aluminum for that connection because it costs less than half of what copper does. And it accomplishes the exact same thing. It gets electricity from my transformer that the power company owns to my breaker box. And I've never had an issue. Here I stand, and so it's copper for inside wiring. I'm a fan of that, obviously, with a smaller fixture, smaller gauge wire. We use number 14 and number 12 wire throughout your house, so you're not going to have an issue anyway. But then on the outside, where we're using number 1 or number 2, get like just big old wire, big spools of it, you're not going to have an issue with aluminum. I'd go with aluminum all day.
Okay, makes sense. And then another question: if a bonus room comes with a full bathroom and a media room, is it possible to just build the room without the bathroom or media? Possibly, yeah. A lot of times if they do that, it's roof line is what they're looking at. So you'd want to kind of check, your consultant's going to want to check with the drafting team to make sure. But if you wanted it to be one open area, definitely if you don't want to include the bathroom, that's an easy delete.
Yep.
Yeah. And a lot of our plans, I think you said earlier you were looking at the rock wall, that it's an option to take that off of that one. So yeah.
You still are going to have, just briefly on the rock wall, if you recall, if you've been to the model, I don't know if you have or not, or the virtual tour, as you come up the stairs, you get into the game room. The little bathroom's behind you or to your left. And you can easily delete that if you want to turn it into a closet. The space is still there, so you might as well do something with it, or just incorporate it in. There is also a step or 2 up into the media room because the ceiling goes up on the first floor. So yes, while we could make it all one room, you do need to know that you might still have a step up going from the game room to the media room. So just something to think about. And I wouldn't want, the only way to avoid that would be to either lower the ceiling on the first floor, which you're probably not going to be thrilled with, or raise the floor on the second. But if you'll note, that's already a sloped roof coming down on the left side. And it may make people like me very nervous walking upstairs.
Okay, so maybe don't make it one room. Don's wrong. Just delete that side.
But you're gonna have a little step. Or back in the 70s, what we would call a conversation pit. You're going down. So.
There you go. All right. Alex is saying, we love the layout of the canyon, but the price is higher than we're looking for. Is it possible to make a room smaller to reduce the cost?
I'm gonna mute and listen, Dawn. Go right ahead.
So generally, Alex, we want you to start with a smaller home and make it larger. simply because it's more cost effective for you, and it's an easier design if you start with a smaller home and enlarge it. So I would say look at what the features are of the Canyon that you particularly like, and we can kind of reproduce that in a smaller home and get it up to the size that you wanted. Because the problem is when we start trying to take square footage off one of our bigger plans, kind of how I was talking about roof lines before, the same thing, that elevation, when you start taking square footage, you have to be very deliberate about making sure that you're taking it equally from each side of the home and out of the rooms so that you don't change what the outside of the house looks like. One thing I would say, look at like maybe the Travis is a little bit smaller. We've had some people kind of refer to that as a baby canyon. So that might be one that it's good that you could kind of rearrange to get the layout more like you're looking for. But we generally advise against trying to make a big home smaller, just for those reasons. Not that it can't be done, but it would be much more cost effective for you to go the other way.
Yeah.
All right. Another question that the expensive power was permanent power. They've reached out to their lender as well. Thanks for these videos. Can't wait for a Canyon C. Awesome.
Hey, thanks for watching. We hope it helped.
Yeah, thank you. Julie is saying building a live oak in Johnson County. Our pre-construction meeting is tomorrow. Awesome. That's exciting.
Very cool, Julie. Congratulations. Thanks for your patience.
Alex said it actually made sense for once, so thank you.
For once. Give me a break. That's very cool. Yeah, so y'all keep asking your questions. We can keep answering them. We will be here for you. Obviously, and this has been great. Y'all have asked it. Look, the utilities are confusing because every house you've pretty well owned before that's all done. When you show up, like someone says they're going to sell you land, you just kind of assume, okay, it has access to power, has access to water, has access to it has access to all those things. But somebody's got to get it from here to here.
They're not here yet. They're coming. After you pay for them.
That's right. And those things are becoming more and more expensive because, again, they're after those power companies are fighting for the same labor that we are, and that framing crews are, and that HVAC companies are, and like somebody to go out and physically do the work, to hop on a truck and ride out to Atascosa County and hop off and set poles and dig trenches and set transformers if they can get the transformers, which by the way, that's an issue. Those things are taking longer than they ever have. So, I'm impressed with the people on here that are getting it done early because you cannot start on those things too early right now. That stuff that we used to be able to get done in 2, 3, 4 weeks, it's now taking 6-8 months to get power in. And it's just, and I know it's frustrating for them. I know it's frustrating for the power companies. So that's something that I know that they're struggling with, we're struggling with. So kudos to you for getting out in front of it early.
Yeah, absolutely.
Proud of you guys.
Yeah. All right. Stacy says, thank you for taking the time for my questions. I appreciate all the information. Absolutely. We appreciate you tuning in. That is 100% what we are here for, because we believe that an educated buyer is a happy buyer. So we want to make sure that you have all your questions answered up front so you know what to expect during this process, because it can, as Eric was saying, it can be confusing because it's different than probably any previous home that you've built. Julie is asking, I may want to add a light switch that controls a plug outside by the new back porch. Is it too late to do that? She has a pre-construction meeting tomorrow. Yeah, it could be. It's a question to definitely ask the building superintendent when you meet him. Okay. So I do know if you're going to pre-construction meeting, typically the purchase orders, work orders have already have gone out. So. All right. And then we have a question from YouTube. He had talked to us last week about his electrical trade delays and says he hasn't gotten a response. So we're going to need to follow up. I know I reached out to Tom and to Covey, so I'll double check. I'll circle back up with him. Okay. All right. Perfect. And then we have advice for new people. Look for land with electric and water. The land was the cheap part. Utilities and drive has exceeded our property price. Yeah. Yes, for sure. For sure. It is definitely one of the more expensive things. And as Eric was saying, it's even more expensive now and takes longer. So, if you woke up last night dreaming that maybe you're going to build a home on your land, call the electrical company today. Right. That'd be a good start. Yes. Just get them working on it. Most definitely. All right. That is all of the questions and comments I see.
Awesome.
So type fast if you have anything.
Yeah, type fast. We obviously appreciate you all getting on here and watching this. This is for you. We don't just do it for our health, although we like doing it. So we hope you find it very helpful. And obviously, there's a bunch of other places you can find information. Dawn, where else can they find us?
So now that you find us, you actually have to hide from us because we found you too. No, I'm just kidding. We're not. But anyway, we are on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Tilson Homes. So you can find us there. You can go to the website that I showed you earlier where we have an absolute wealth of information. So tilsonhomes.com. And there you can look at all of our plans. You can play around with most of them with all the custom options, make whatever changes you want. On that website, you will see happy, smiling people up at the top there. Just you can send them their questions. Those are our new home specialists, and they are ready to answer all of your questions. So just send them some information. Carolyn's one of them. Operators are standing by. So they are there. They can help you set up your initial appointment with a design consultant in one of our locations, and they'll answer any of your preliminary questions before you have that meeting. You can go to any of our design centers. We have wonderful locations with models throughout the state. Our Waco models will be resuming construction soon, so we're very, very excited about that. So yeah, that's all the places that you can find us.
All I can
and
hear
you can
now
watch
is like
if you're gonna miss us, you can watch all of the old lives too wherever you found this one. So
you can the operator standing by. All I can hear in my head now is like a 90s infomercial late at night.
But wait, there's more.
Right, buy now, and it's only $12.95. But if you buy now, we'll throw 2 of them in. Like, what? Huh? How?
But you pay double the shipping.
Yeah, no, $350 shipping. Yeah, $350 shipping and handling. Which when you think with the 90s, I think that's steep. Steep, man.
All right, let's see. Alex had a question, so let's get that. Looking at getting land next month and building in fall 2023, what should I prioritize before building?
So, depending on where you're building, Alex, like we just talked about, you saw in the hill country, power and water are going to be your 2. And might as well throw septic in there while you're at it. So utilities are going to be your priorities. And especially if you're just now shopping for the land, like our good watcher earlier gave great advice, which was ask a lot of questions about utilities before you buy the land. Electrical available doesn't mean squat. Okay. Electrical's available everywhere if you got enough money. So just find out. And we can help you with that. We can go look at it for you. I mean, we probably have somebody in the area that has built there, and we have a pretty good idea of what it's going to take. So utilities would be the number 1 priority. And I say that title and flood are priority.
Yes.
The priority 1A and 1B, and then priority 2 is utilities. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I also think back to Justin's advice, which I think is very wise, our SVP of construction. If it is the least expensive lot in the area or the last lot in the area, there's a reason, and it's probably that everything else associated with it's going to be really expensive. So do your due diligence kind of on the property and check out what's going on.
Yeah, you're going to, it costs what it costs. If it's where you want to be, we'll figure out a way to make it happen. But there's not really, I'd be very leery of a good deal. Because it may be somebody who realized it's a really bad deal and now they're selling it as a good deal. So, but I would certainly want to, open title at it before you make any offer, look at the flood information, and then check out utilities.
All right. He says he appreciates the answers. Looking in Liberty County next to my grandparents who have a Tilson home from 1998. Oh, that's awesome.
Awesome. That's really cool. That's what this is all about. Getting out.
Yeah.
Out by family, getting families together, homesteading types. I mean, nobody does it, kind of like Will from Klondike does it, but we can all aspire. We can all aspire. So anyway, well, thank you, Dawn, for putting this together. Thank you, Kelsey, for monitoring the chat. We appreciate that. Thank all of you for watching. We're so grateful for you. We're grateful for you, our customers that are going through this journey with us. We're grateful for you. We're honored that you invited us on this journey. We don't take it lightly. We know that there's some struggles right now, but believe me, when I tell you we are with you every step of the way, and we want it done just like you do. And for you prospective folks looking at doing this, you're going the right way. There's never a bad time to get away from the craziness that's going on and get out to a rural area. There's never a bad time to buy land, and there's never a bad time to invest in that land and make improvements to that land, like a home. So we hope this was helpful for you. We hope you'll watch other episodes, and we genuinely soon hope to make you part of the Tilson family. We'll talk to you folks later.
Bye, everybody.